Evening, y'all. Let me show you what I got going on here. I've removed the rear wheels from one side of the truck. I got the tires dismounted and got the spacer ring and the rims and the lock rings all cleaned up. I've been working on these little marker lights that mount on top of the headlight. I've got them fixed up in a primer now. Got the other one hanging over here. They were quite badly pitted, so it took me a few steps. I'll water sand those tomorrow and get them ready, but right now I'm working on nickel plating some more parts. I will polish them. I've already got them nickel plated. These are the wedges for that back wheel I took off along with the lug nuts. I've already polished a few. You can see kind of how they start off. I didn't clean all the rust off. I just got it down. I left some in the pits there. I didn't get everything nice and smooth. I got the generator bracket. I cleaned most of the rust off of it and got it a little bit smoother, but it's still got some pits. It's all polished up now. I've still got these to do. 3 lug nuts. I'm probably going to call it an evening after that. The tires and tubes have all arrived, so I'll show you them tomorrow. And I'll actually show you taking off the other side. When you're removing these wedges, you gotta make sure you don't remove the lug nuts all the way. Leave them on the studs and give them a little tap with the hammer until the tire jumps out, and then you can twist them off. I just prefer not to stick my fingers in there. I've been going a little slow because while I was working on removing the rust from all these, my darned angle grinder bit me in the arm and in the knee. So I ain't feeling too froggy today. Now, if anybody wants to donate one of those handy dandy rust removal laser tools, I'd gladly take one, because I got plenty more rust to remove and clean up. But if not, I'll just keep grinding away at it and sanding it off. And now for these clamps and the lug nuts and that bracket, I actually used electrolysis. I still got a bucket set up here, but I took the power supply back inside for doing my nickel plating. Use that to soften up and remove a lot of the rust and thick paint. But I'm going to set you back up here. I'm going to go through getting the rest of these polished, and then get back with you tomorrow for taking off the other side of the wheels, and I'll show off the new tires. Alright, y'all. It's time to remove the wheels on this side of the truck. I've already taken and removed the valve stem so there's no air left in the tires. Now, get these lug nuts broke loose. The other side wasn't too hard. Well, these are surprisingly easy as well. Alright, I got threads showing on all of them. Let me take you down here and get you a little bit closer. See why I just loosened them and left the lug nuts on there. That one popped out. That one popped out. Come on. That one's loose. That one's loosed. So far, this one hasn't jumped as bad as the other side did. All right. They're all loose. It's now safe for me to finish taking off the lug nuts. Well, I was expecting a bit bigger of a pop, but it is what it is. That was easy. There's the one. If I can clear off some of that crust. Right. Nope, I'm gonna get a little pry bar. Spray oil. Alright, y'all. So yesterday, I got the new tires mounted on these wheels I've been cleaning up. Got them bolted up on the hub here. And today, of course, I had one more. Also yesterday, I went ahead and got this one painted up and cleaned up. So I got 2 more wheels to get tires mounted on in the garage that I painted last night. And I'll be able to get mounted up on here and get down off the blocks. And I'll have one I'll be able to put on the front here later on in the week. I'm going to change out this one since it's slowly leaking down. When I get it off, I'll clean up that wheel and get it painted and get the final one mounted for the other side. This is what they look like, all cleaned up and painted up. It takes me about all day to clean the rust off of just 2 of these. Of course, I got my lug nuts and wedges nickel plated that I got polished up like I did the other side. I think they turned out pretty good. So let me get this all cleaned up and ready to mount tires, and I'll bring you on back for that process. And we'll get them put on the truck. Uh-oh. I forgot to lubricate it. Yes, you can use soapy water, but I found this works pretty good. Alright, let me take it back off. Or not. Budget, I'll just spray here. Silicone spray. What can I say? Alright, well, I got that centered the first shot. That's not the way that usually goes. Alright. Hammer. Boom. That couldn't have been easier. Everything there still in place. Let me see if I can't just get you in for a closer look. See this gap here? The way these works is this has a hook comes over and these have a hook comes up. So you don't want any gap here once you get it snapped on. It's a little wide here, but as I filled up there, I'm pretty sure that's going to tighten up. It's because this is down a little bit farther than this side. Another thing is you want to make sure these numbers here for your ring match up with your numbers here on the rim. And I've kept these together through the whole process of cleaning them. Now, because I clean these are going to air up real easy. Here in the garage, I'm not going to air them up but to about 10 psi. I can air them up the rest of the way when they're on the truck, and the lock rings are facing each other, so I don't have to worry about them blowing up. But 10 psi should be enough to set the bead or bring it up to where it cinches that ring in place. without being dangerous enough to have to worry about it blowing up on me. And I haven't put the valve core back in yet, because if I have to, I can just pull this, or I can even just disconnect it here and let all the air out. I'm just going to do a little bit of time and watch it. Once I see this comes up in contact with the bead, the ring here, I'm going to stop, let the air back out, and reinstall the valve stem. Fill it up 10 psi and wheel it out to the truck. It looks like it's coming up without any issue. Got quite all the way on there. One of these ain't. There we go. I thought these were extremely dangerous till I seen the way they work. Now there's no way I would fill this up to the full 75, 85 psi in here. That's nuts. From what I understand, the best way to handle these is without any air in them, or just very minimal, just enough to hold it together. Looks like our gap's closing up everywhere the way it's supposed to. Still don't have any psi of pressure reading on the gauge. Now up to 2 psi. I just want to give another little tap now that we're starting to show about 3 psi. Make sure everything's seated right. I'm sure it is, but yeah, ring ain't moving. And we're not 10 psi yet, but I'll show you. This gap here is closed up. It's even all the way around now. And this gap here between the tire, it's touching all the way around. These kind of a deep lip, but that's the way they look when they're full. So I'm going to go ahead and fill this up the rest of the way at 10 psi. Let the air back out so it can settle. Now I'll reinstall the valve core. I'll air it back up to 10 psi and roll it out to the truck. They ain't no more dangerous than any other tire, as long as you're careful with them and you pay attention. I cleaned out those grooves very well. I even went down to sanding with hand paper on a blade just to make sure there was no debris or anything in them that could cause it to not seat properly or kick out. Alright, we're up 10 psi. No issues. Let that drain down. Reinstall the valve and roll it out. Do the next one. I won't bore you with doing 2 of these. I've already done 4 at this point. Got 3 more to go. It just is what it is. I was really scared to do this when I first started. A lot of bad press about these. These are not the same things as a split wheel. It is 2-piece wheel, and it does have a split ring. But I mean, once it goes on and that sidewall pushes up against it, it's not going anywhere. Unless it is really crusty and rusty and nasty, which I cleaned these up very well and inspected them good. That lip where they catch and lock together, there's nothing to keep it from locking together. None of the rings were badly warped or cracked or busted or too heavily pitted in that area, so I think it's good. I was worried with the way they looked when I first took the tires off that they wouldn't be usable. But most of the crust that I saw was actually bits and pieces of old tire that had gotten stuck to them and rusted to it. Alright, let's go back up 10 and I'll wheel it out. Just do it nice and easy, a little at a time. I don't even have a compressor running. I'm just using whatever air is left in the tank. I'll probably have to turn it on for the next one. But with it being quiet in here, I can hear if something is going on. The other reason for using this silicone lubricant instead of, say, soapy water is this actually prevents rust and doesn't hurt the paint. I actually got this for the stainless steel cables on my sawmill for keeping them lubricated on the winch part. And so I figured it worked well for this. And it seems to. I've heard of some people using WD-40, and I'm not too far on that because I think that'll mess with the paint I put down on there over time. But that silicone spray shouldn't hurt the rubber or the steel or the paint. Alright, there's our 10 psi. That's enough to hold it together. So let me wheel this out over there to the truck, and I'll pause the video while I do the other one, and then I'll get you set back up outside for getting them mounted. Ugh. Alright, y'all, so there's our mounted tires and the ring for the middle of the duals. I've got my wedges and lug nuts all polished up. I got me some lithium grease, some anti-seize compound, a board, a few blocks, and my lug wrench. I need to get a new 1/2-inch drive extension. I about twisted that one off. But there's nothing special or no specific reason to use the lithium grease over anything else other than, well, a couple years ago I bought about 6 tubes of it by mistake, thinking it was something else, so I figured it was the perfect time to use it up. So let me get you mounted up here and I'll start greasing and lubing and getting it put together. I have to get a new tube of this stuff. Doesn't take much, just a little dab will do. A little extra on that one, I got a little paint on. All right. It's just gonna make getting them on and off the next time a whole lot easier. The paint on these I put on these plates is very, very thin. It's just enough to give it a little color and keep it from rusting. And with as much rust and crud as I cleaned off of these, it ain't really gonna be a problem. I ain't gonna say nothing until the end of this, but I might get lucky on this. I know I got lucky on the other side, but as soon as I say something, that's when things go wrong. There. Ain't gonna hurt to have any on there neither. When I put these on, I'm gonna have to make sure I get the valve stems lined up in between the spokes. This inside one, the ring faces out. Then we have the ring that goes in between. On the outside wheel, the ring faces in. And that's why I waited to fill these up. Ugh. Until I got them on here. There's one. Let's see if this ring slides on there any easier this time. I didn't bring a hammer out with me. Hope it does. Oh yeah, nice and easy now. All right. Ralph stem's over there, so I want to match up this one to that. Okay. Ugh. And a little bit more. Phew. All right. That looks good. You stay. Get the first of these wedges on there. Maybe I should bring it a little bit closer so you can see. How's that? I'm just going to get all these started and finger tight. This side's already going on a lot easier than the other side. Well, that polished nickel looks good with that silver. Ironically, when I was cleaning them off, I think they were originally either chrome or nickel plate, even though they're cast, because they cleaned up nice and shiny after I took them out of the electrolysis bath to remove the old paint and rust. They came out looking plated. So I figure the nickel just fill in the holes where they'd rusted through the original plating. And it did, and they looking nice and shiny now. I cleaned the polish off of these. The set I did on camera, you didn't get to see them with the polish all cleaned off. So they still looked a little dark and black, even though they'd been shined up real good. Alright. I'm going to try and tighten these down until they have about the same amount of thread showing all the way around. That's just snug. Wobbly wobbly. All right. All right, we have about the same amount of thread showing. Let me get you down even a little bit lower here. Set me a board up here. Stack my blocks up on it. I'm gonna get right nice close to that tire. I think I only need 2 of them though. All right, let's give it a little spin. See what our run out is. Well, get tight in that one spot. It's looking pretty even already. I'm gonna Try and get to just about touches. A little rock on the way. All right. All right, so that there is about where it gets the tightest. So this one here needs a little bit more. Oop. All right. And again, we're tight here. Sorry about that. Bring it in a little bit tighter. Keep it going. That one was okay. Getting wide there. And tight again here. Right there. So I'm going to tighten up these two again here. This one ain't been tightened up yet. Remember I told you I got lucky on the other side? Well, it went kind of like this. I ended up just tightening them all the way down snug, and it just ran true without any wobble. And that looks like what I'm going to get here. The tire itself has a little bit of variation to it, but we're wobbling, oh, I say 1 to 2/16 of an inch at most. See if I can get this to where it just barely touches. We'll see if we can get that block to move. Yep, it's bumping over the letters a little bit. Right there. Every one of them. Ain't no letters here to bump on. And that's where our gap is the widest, right there. This is where I just tightened down at. So I think I'm just going to go around and tighten up the rest of these here and see what we get for our final run out. No idea what the torque is set to on this thing. Oh. Looks like 80 foot-pounds. That's probably about what it's supposed to be. I have no idea. Yeah, you're probably supposed to do this in a pattern, but gonna check, make sure they all click, and we'll check our run out again. One last time and see how we are. I think as long as we're less than 1/8 of an inch, we're good. And I'm certain we already got that. I didn't have more than that to begin with. All right, all tightened up. I started here with the Goodyear marking on the wheel. All right, so let's see how we doing. And we're touching just barely there. And we got a gap here. All right. So while it's acceptable, I think I want to do better. So I'm going to loosen these two up a little bit. Didn't have to do this on the other side. And then I'll tighten the opposite two a little bit more. Well, close to the opposite two. If they will tighten up some more. Bring them down here where it gets tight. Right here. See if we can just give these a little bit more. Let's see what we got. We're hitting on that one little nipple there. Yep, it just hits on that one little rubber nipple that sticks out. Other than that, we're all good. All right. Make sure they all tight one last time. And I'm gonna call it good. All right. Back these up just a little bit so I can see it run without them bumping. All right, looks like we got maybe 1.5/16 of an inch of run out. That's more than acceptable. So I'm gonna drag the air line out here and finish getting these aired up. I'm only gonna air them up to 60 psi. Let's see here. And for the dual axles, 75 psi. For the single, it'd be 85 cold. I'm not really gonna be driving a while, but I figure if I air it up with 60 psi, I can set it down on the ground, drive around the yard a little bit. If there ain't no issues, I can bring it all the way up to the full pressure. I know if you run these low, going down the highway, they will overheat and you can end up with a tire fire. They can blow up on you, so you never really want to run them low on the street. But this is just going to be riding around the yard here for a while, so I don't think it's going to be a problem keeping them down only about 60 psi for just moving around the yard here. When I go to take it down the road for the first time, I'll make sure they're all fully aired up. But yeah, that's it for that. Let me get everything put up here and get the air lines out here, and we'll fill them up and see if they go boom. Y'all the one's gonna be standing in the danger zone. I'm gonna be over there. Here we go. "20 psi. Pretty good. 35. 45. 45. 55. 60 psi. I think they look good on the truck, all shined up and freshly painted. Can't wait to get them all on there and be able to move it around a little bit more. Get y'all off of this tripod. So, I got a few little fiddly things to do this week. Gotta clean the rust off of this and get those finally bolted down. I'm gonna take off the two front ones and get them hubs cleaned up. Mount one more tire because I only got one left. I only ordered 6, so I won't be mounting one onto the spare yet. Doesn't bother me any. Because the tire cage back here, it needs a little help. It's a little wonky. So my goal, because the weather's changing, it's going to get cold, I just want to get the tires on so I can move it around. And then I'm going to get the stake bed taken off. I'm going to save these and our corner brackets and the hinges for the tailgate so I can rebuild it with new fresh lumber I'll mill over the winter here. While I have the stake bed off, the back of the truck will actually fit in the garage, and I'll take that time over the winter to get all this crust cleaned up off of here, do some work to the rear end, get new vacuum lines run, redo some of the electrical back here, and get the frame cleaned up and painted so that come springtime I can be putting on the new stake bed. I'm probably going to go ahead and, once I get the steps bolted back down, go ahead and get the gas tank put on, because I won't be able to get this fixed up right now. I can always pull the gas tank back off. I really just want to get it running, driving good, since I ain't going to be able to get the brakes going until I pull the axles. Alright, y'all. It's a Saturday. And well, I need some new lug nuts for the truck for those front wheels, because these are a little rusty. I had fun removing these. Now these are ball-faced lug nuts. They're rounded over on both sides, the top and the bottom. There's not much left of this side. And I had ordered some. They were awfully hard to find, but the ones I got shipped, well, they're just flat chamfered, so they're wrong. I ended up not being able to find a supplier for them, so I took these flat chamfered nuts and I chucked them up on my grinder and took them to the belt sander and made them ball face lug nuts. And then I went ahead and re-nickel plated them. See if I can show you the profiles here side by side. If you can see that difference there. So since I got these re-nickel plated where I did my grinding, I'm going to go ahead and polish them up and bring them back to a nice high shine before I can put the wheels back on. I've also been working on making some parts. These old crusty bumpers here are just falling apart, and of course there's no way I'm going to be able to order replacements for these. So as you can see, I made some new pieces on my 3D printer using some TPU, and it's good and flexible enough. I got the little grommets to go for the hood catches and the new bumpers. I'll get these installed later today. I'm going to have to fix the hole for this one. I don't know what somebody did there, but I'll get that straightened out. And I finally got these marker light metal covers refinished and painted up with that Revel chrome spray. You can see my finger in there. It's good and reflective. Looks nice like chrome. After drying for about 4 days, it's hard enough that it doesn't leave fingerprints or anything in it. I'm also going to take these off and print a whole new gasket to go on the bottom out of that TPU to get these to fit right, and give me some replacement screws to get them put back on there. I got new sockets. They finally arrived, and I got new headlight bulbs, so I'm going to get these taken apart later on this week to get the new light sockets installed and install the new bulbs, get all this working again on both sides. I got the old bolt holes cleaned out. I drilled these out because I'm going to install these with some riv nuts. When I designed these new replacements in Tinkercad, I made sure they had fit a 10mm socket and 10mm bolts, because I just happen to have some brand new ones on hand. I always keep these handy. So all I got to do is set my riv nuts down here in these holes and bolt them in place. Now, I love this tool. Wished I'd have had one of these many years ago. So all I gotta do is tighten that riv nut up on there and get it down the hole. Well, one needs a little bit more drilling, I think. There's another set of holes underneath these that were a bit in the way, so I had to drill them out. Come on. There we go. Just to make room to put these in. Alright. Tighten it down a little bit more. And I think that one's good. Let's unthread it and see what we got. There. That's nice and ready to go for that one. All we got to do is stick the bolt through the hole. Scratch it down in place. Now I picked some that had Phillips head screw heads as well as 10mm, just in case my measurements were a little bit off and they shrunk a bit. Let's see here. It looks about the way it should be lined up right there. And gotta squish them down too tight. There. Well, let's put on another one. Let's work my way around to the middle, I think. It was also still a little bit off. There. There we go. I probably got my arm in the way. I think that's it. Nice clean connections. I think that one's going to need another little bit of drilling too. There. Got my hands all greasy. And while the tires jacked up, I noticed they was a wobbling a little bit. And so I went under there and I replaced some of the grease fittings. Got her re-greased. I tried putting grease in the old fittings and that just wouldn't go in. Now here's going to be the true test. This one has 2 holes. And I didn't measure off of the bumper here like a smart person would have done. I measured off of the old broken rubber about where the holes should be. So now we're going to find out if they line up. Oh, and they do perfectly. I usually don't get that lucky. Nothing like nice new threads. Still a little bit loose. That's good there. Yeah, I think it's going to go nowhere. That one hadn't bottomed out yet. There, now it's bottomed out. Yeah, all right. One more to go. I think we're at the bottom of this one. Alright. That looks good. I'm going to move these tools. I'm going to try closing the hood for the first time in a while, since it's been parked over here at the garage. And we'll see how those new bumpers do. Oh, I also got this grommet here put in. The hole isn't quite as round as it originally appeared, but it's in there all the way and it fits nice and snug. So let's get this hood closed for the first time in a while. See how it sits on them. Well, let me show you what I'm seeing here. Now, this bumper here was originally missing. This one was damaged in it and wasn't sticking up quite as high. And this one here was fully there, but it was kind of squished off to one side. I do believe this hood has gotten a little bit warped with this one having been missing, because it's the one that's making contact now. The middle one's making contact, and this one's got just a tiny little gap there. But I think once I get these fine replacements for the hood catches, I think it'll do just fine. It'll keep it from jiggling and bouncing around. So there's one little project done. I'm going to put the STL files for these little rubber bits up on my website, and I'll put links in the video description if anybody happens to have a REO or another older car that these might work on and they need to print some out. These are just printed out of TPU, flexible filament. It's kind of rubber-like, but it works pretty good. It's my first time printing with it. I think they turned out pretty good. They don't come out looking this shiny. I just took a little pen torch over them just to melt the surface, get rid of the layer lines. But I think that's going to work out good. I'm pretty sure I'm going to have a few more little rubber bits and pieces to duplicate here. As I mentioned for the marker lights, I'm going to print out some brand new bases for those. And I think they're looking pretty good. And I might find more gaskets or whatnot in here that also needing replaced. But I'm happy with it. That's going to get rid of a lot of shaking and rattling in the truck, with this hood just being nice and secure there now. So not this side. I got this one all ready to air up. I put some logging chain around it. So I'll get you set up over here. I'll put on my headphones and I'll hook up the air line and go to airing up this sketchy one I'm not too sure about. So I'll be right back with you. Alright y'all, here we go. I'm going to leave the compressor off for this one. Of all the ones I think might would blow apart, this one would be the one. So I'm going to get way back here in the garage and start the filling. Put on my headphones so if it does blow I don't go deaf. Now that's 60, no explosions. He's all aired up, y'all. I hadn't recorded doing this one. I figured watching all the boring airing up of these tires, no explosions, nothing like that. Probably pretty boring. But yeah, she's completely on her new feet. All the way around. So I'm going to take and get all these blocks loaded up, set her down on them front tires, and get that newly clean gas tank mounted up, hook up the fuel pump. I should be able to pull away from here. Get ready to do some other stuff to it. Thanks for watching, y'all.